So what we're looking at next is this here. So for these problems, they gave us the vertex in focus, or they'll give us the vertex in directrix, and we need to find the equation. And just like the previous ones, we need to find the value of h, k, and p. Because if we can find these three values, then we can plug it into the general form and have our equation. Now the vertex is still the point, h comma k. Yes. You're good. If he's a 10th grader, he should be down probably by Mr. Cherry's, because normally I think freshman is by the main office, and then they kind of work their way around.
Yeah, I looked at about
Question on how we found h and k. Now to figure out which equation, the general form we need, and the value p, we really need to see how the form changes from vertex to focus. Now if they gave us the directrix, it's just one set equation, either y equals k minus p or x equals h minus p. It's one or the other. We only have one way that that's set up. With this here, we need to determine which one changes from the vertex to the focus and which one stays the same. In the vertex, our h value is 7, k value is 3. Focus, our first term is now 14. The second term is still 3. So from the vertex to the focus, our k, the second value, stayed the same, so it's still k. It would be h plus p. Because we're adding this value of p either to the x, the first term, or the second, to the h or to the k. Now, it might seem a little weird when I say add, because we're either going to add a positive number or negative. So it's one or the other. But the number will change. Questions on how we determine the general form of the focus? Now we just need to match it up. Because if we look at the general form on our reference sheet, it's either h plus p comma k or h comma k plus p. And the one that matches up with our h plus p comma k, x equals 1 over 4p times y minus k squared plus h. And we get this here. Now it's also told us that when we plug the values of h and p into this equation, we should get 14. Well, the h value is, so 7 plus p is 14. Just looking at this here, do we know what the value of p is? 1 plus 7 is 14. Not quite. 7, yeah. Or if we did the next step, we would subtract 7 from both sides. 14 minus 7 is 7. 7. It's not always going to work out that h and p or k and p are going to be the same. I think a few of the problems on the review sheet had just worked out that way. But number 24. Questions on how we found h, k, or p, or the general form. Now at this point here, we can plug it in. Do be paying attention when you plug it in to plug in the h and k in the correct spots. Because for this one here, k is inside the parentheses, h is outside. Now for this one here, there's only one place where we have something to simplify. That's our 1 over 4 times 7. Well, we could plug that into the calculator, 1 over 4 parentheses 7, which is 1/28. none of the rest of it changes because we don't have a negative negative, minus a negative, or plus a negative, so the signs do not change. Questions on this here? Yes, you do get the review sheet on the test. Yes. There was only one, I think, or two tests in the past where I didn't let y'all use a review sheet, and that was back when end-of-course testing was still a thing for the high school. Because part of the geometry end-of-course test was to know your formulas for area, to actually know them and be able to put those in. That would be a prism volume, length times width times height, is prisms. But you had to know those by memory to be able to do it. So that's the one test I wouldn't let y'all use a review sheet, so you actually had to know those. But otherwise, yes. Questions on these here with vertex and focus?
I don't know if I heard you right, but didn't you say this, like on this one, how it's negative over just leave it like that?
Well,
So
yeah.
every time we have one like that,
We need to simplify it, yes.
and then the rest of it stays the same.
So the plus, right, x minus 4, yep. Because if we have a negative negative, it was, say, x minus negative 4. The negative negative, it's not going to be wrong, but we would turn it into plus. We wouldn't leave it as minus a negative or plus a negative. We would just rewrite it as subtraction. Yeah. In those places, if we can simplify, we'll want to simplify. Yeah. Let's look at another one of these here. Number 27, we're given the vertex and focus. Now, if you haven't noticed on these here, we weren't given the vertex and directrix. We've just been given the vertex and focus. Incidentally, on the test for these here, you're only going to be given the vertex and focus. So I don't know if that's going to make it easier or harder, but for these here, we need to find the values of h, k, and p. Now the vertex is the point, h, comma, k. So it tells us the vertex, well, the h value is, k value is. Now we need to find the p. So we need to see which, in the general form, which one changed from vertex to focus. The y one, which is our k, because h is -6 for the vertex. It's still -6, where h should locate. But our k has changed. We've added something to it. We've added the p value to it. Even though it became a bigger negative, we added a value to it. Most likely that means the value is negative. It's a negative number. So that tells us two things. One, that k plus p is -10. And our equation is what? 1/4p times h squared plus k. Because it would be our y equals 1/4p x squared if the vertex was 0, 0. Well, we don't know what p is, but I do know the h value is -6. And the value of k is -12. Not -12. I'm thinking of a problem. ahead. That's going to come in a few more. But the only thing we're missing is the value of p. So we do know that k plus p is equal to negative 10. Well, k is, so negative 4 plus p is negative 10. We would add 4. Negative 10 plus 4 is, so we plug it in. Now we could plug that in a calculator. 1 over 4 parentheses negative 6, close parentheses is negative 1/24. Negative 1 over 24. Now this one here, we're not going to leave it as minus negative 6. We would change it to x plus 6 squared. And we're going to not, and we won't leave it as plus negative 4. We'll just say minus 4. And that's it. Questions on this here? Questions on any of these here so far? 2.31. Yeah, so now this is 2.32 technically, because the vertex is not 0, 0. 2.31 was when the vertex was 0, 0. 28. So 28. Now the difference between 231 and 234, so this one here is part of what they gave us. 231, they gave us either the vertex and focus or vertex directrix, or we have focus directrix, focus vertex. Now here we're given the vertex and what? A point. It says it passes through this point. So this point is somewhere on the parabola itself. So we wouldn't use our 1 over 4p. Here they told us the vertex, so we're going to use vertex 4. 28 through 33 are 2, 4. So these are the problems from 2, 4. So if it gives us a point, we're using these here, and I believe, because I know I put them on the review sheet. It's on the review sheet. Maybe I technically didn't, but it's going to be vertex form or standard form this here, and we will use the fact that this is h comma k. Now our h value is negative 6, and our k value is negative 12. So we plug that in. So I didn't technically specify these as different, but for this one here and the next set also, you could use the middle two, the vertex and x-intercept form. We're just not finding the axis of symmetry, all the rest of it. Now, minus negative 6 is the same as plus 6. Or plus negative 12, well, we could also say that this is just minus 12. Questions on this so far? So to solve this, to find the equation, we need the values of a, h, and k. We found h and k, yes? So we have 2/3 of the answer already. We're just missing a. We're going to use this point here. Because what that's telling us is that when the value of x is 0 and we plug it in, we'll get a y value of negative 24. So we'll plug. Yes. So we're going to replace the y value with negative 24. We're going to replace the x value with 0 and solve for the value of a. our 0 plus 6 is just going to be 6 squared. Now 6 squared is going to be 36a minus 12. If you're squaring a number, especially a negative, be careful when typing it into the calculator. Make sure to put parentheses around it. Otherwise, it will not give you the correct answer. Now, at this point here, we need to get a by itself, so we're going to add 12 to both sides. These here will cancel, leaving 36a by itself. Negative 24 plus 12 is negative 12. And lastly, we need to divide both sides by 36. A is equal to negative 12 divided by 36 is
I thought it was 36. So 12 divided by 36. Wait, what did I do wrong?
36 divided by 12. We need to get a by itself.
Oh, so you want me to switch to this side and then we bring that?
Well, you just need to divide both sides by 36.
Oh, a by itself, though.
You have your pencil? Yeah, because what this would come out would be 1 is equal to 3a. Because the 12 divided by 12 would be 1. 36 divided by 12 would be 3a. Now, one thing I will say with this here, for most decimals, I'm fine with them, but I would not want you leaving it as 0.33333 going on forever. Because if it's a repeated decimal, go on and turn it back into a fraction. Because if it's 0.25, 0.7, it's a nice decimal where it does end. You can use it, but these here, we'll leave it as negative 1/3. Questions on how we found this equation? Any questions on this one here? On the test, if you get stuck trying to find the value of a or forget, at least give me this much here, because that's 2/3 of the answer, H and K.
6 points.
So for this here, it would be 3 out of 4. Because it'd be 1 point for solving it, 1 point for plugging in H and K correctly. You would just lose the 1 point for not getting A. Questions on these here with vertex form? This one here would also be vertex form, and we would do it the exact same way.
How would you know that it's vertex?
Yeah. So it gave us the vertex and a point it passes through. Which form would we use for this one here?
X-intercept.
X-intercept form. So y equals a times x minus p times x minus q, where p and q are our x-intercepts. Now, the x-intercepts can be given to us in one of two forms. Like this here, it says negative 16 and negative 2. So that's the x-intercepts, our p and q. Yes. Now, the other way we can get the intercepts is our negative 16 comma 0 and negative 2 comma 0. So those are the two ways we can get the x-intercepts, because an x-intercept is any point where the y value is 0. So for us here, we'd have x minus negative 16 times x minus negative 2. Now, which one we define as p and which one we define as q doesn't really matter, as long as we make sure one of them is p and the other is q. Plus and plus. Questions on how we got this set up so far? Well, the only value we're missing is the value of a. And we'll use the point negative 1872 to find it. We'll plug 72 in for y and negative 18 into both of the x places. Now negative 18 plus 16 is negative 2. Negative 18 plus 2 is negative 16. Now we do need to multiply a, negative 2, and negative 16 together. Well, negative 2 times negative 16 is 32, and we still have a. At this point here, we would divide both sides by 32. Plus a is 72 over 32 is 9/4. So we'd have y equals 9/4 times x plus 16 times x plus 2. Questions on these here so far? Any questions on x-intercepts or vertex? So really it's the middle equations we can use. We're not going to use the whole pieces to it, but
How do we find the x? Like, whenever we're finding a, like, where's the formula? Like, how do we, like, write it down? Like, I know, like, 72 equals a. I know that.
because all we're doing is taking this equation here and plugging in the values of x and
Oh,
y. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There's not a specific equation that we're technically using to get that exact value of a. We're just taking the equation here and plugging it in for x and y.
That's what we did on this.
Because we did plug it in on the last one too, but all this is saying it passes through this point. It's telling us that whatever the value of a is, whenever the x is negative 18, it's going to cause the y value to be 72. So we can plug it in and solve for it. Any other questions on the x-intercepts in vertex form when given a point it passes through? We feel comfortable with these here.
X-intercept form probably equals
Got those there. Any other questions on these here? 34 through 37 actually aren't showing up on the test. I added those in, but it didn't actually make it on the test. So any other questions on any of this here? So there are 3 questions about transformations, but I would say those to the very end if you have time. If not, don't worry about them. They are 1 point apiece, and to get the point, you have to have every single transformation. So they're all or nothing. But that is